I'm a fan of fantasy, so I listen to Easy and Alan on their Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. During the show, you can live chat with Easy and Alan at LennyMelnickFantasySport.com. Rumour has it, Lenny only swings one way, with Launch Angle. Now here's Easy and Chris Allen.
And it's been a while, but that means it's a Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, Legend Sports Network, with me, Easy, and you.
Who?
Okay, right. Thanks. Right. My favorite weatherman, Chris Allen. How are you doing, Chris?
Man, it's been a heck of a 2 weeks since we've been on vacation. I mean, I literally took a vacation. I don't know about you.
I took a workcation. Does that make sense?
A staycation?
Staycation? No, mine ended up being a workcation because Monday and Tuesday 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to be off, but the owner of my company had some issues and asked if I could come in and work. So I actually worked 2 days of my vacation. Then I did get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the following, off. So
Gotcha.
I did have. And then I know you went and did some special labor for someone that owns a business that we know that owns my business.
I did.
So how was that? Did you have fun? Did you have fun selling brew?
I did.
I was going to say brew utensils, but that would get us in trouble.
Yes.
Did you have fun selling utensils used for brewing?
Yes. And just to make sure that we don't get in trouble, we have to mention it since you mentioned the other company. But I was over at Homebrew Your Own Beer, HBYOB, owned by the wonderful Mr. Joey Brumley. And I had a blast. I mean, I was actually, while I was there, I was working in my Scott Fishbowl t-shirt. So I was talking, a couple people asked about that. But overall, it's just a fun way to enjoy the day. And I had a lot of fun.
All right, well, good. Yes, it has been. And unfortunately, I took a lot of crap. I really only took off, a week, but it covered 2 show periods,
Right.
Because of working that Monday and Tuesday. Then I was off Wednesday through the following Wednesday. It just was like,
it just happened to work out that way.
Yeah. So people are saying you've been off for a month. Well, no, I was off for a week. It just fell funny and and hey, it's the holidays. The round table people, they don't care. Actually they complain too, but they complain, but then when we do
everybody
show,
complains.
Always there.
Yeah, everybody complains.
But yes, we have a lot to catch up on. Lots and lots and lots. So I decided not to talk about any of that.
That works.
Yeah, right. Because, that's the good thing about fantasy. Pretty much once the week's over, no one gives a shit, right? I mean, it's just poof, it's gone. A week of fantasy, poof, it's gone. Yeah. There's no need to. I think on our during our vacation time or our off time, I think the women won the World Cup.
They did, yes.
I think that happened.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. I think Wimbledon happened. Really 2 really big finals. The women's side, Williams, she got whooped, but it was still, it was.
But how old was that girl? She was what? How old was she?
Well, no, okay, no, that was Venus. That's Venus.
Yes,
Venus got beat by the 15-year-old girl who went on and won another match after that. She actually went a little farther.
She had a heck of a run.
Yeah, but I'm talking the main event, which is Serena, who would have, if she'd have won, she'd have tied for the most majors. 23. Right. She's 22. The record's 23.
Which she'll get there.
And she played great tennis, and she'll be the first to tell you. And it's not that she played bad on Saturday. The other girl was just played phenomenal.
Yeah. She played a perfect game.
Yeah. And then the men's came on Sunday. That was great. That went to a 5-set. And then it was the first time ever Wimbledon changed the rule. This year was the first time they ever did it, where they only played 2 extra or 12 extra.
No, I didn't know that.
Break points. And then they just did one. I don't know what they call it, but they went to break points. They did 12. They did a set to 12. And then if it was still tied after 12, then they did a break
Got it.
thing. And this was the first time that ever happened, because last year, if people remember, it wasn't the finals. I think it was maybe the semis, because I don't think it was the quarter, but one of the matches went to 2 days. It lasted so long.
That's right. Yeah.
And had to come back the next morning, and they played another hour, and then it messes up the whole schedule. And then, the guy who won that lost the next match because he had played, 2 days back to back. The whole thing was, so it was fun. So yeah, a lot of things happened, but like we said, a week of fantasy, no one cares. No one cares. No one cares.
No, nobody cares.
We just have to move forward, Chris. We have to move forward with these.
We do.
Our fans demand that we just move forward and just get to the point,
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to talk about some important things.
Okay.
The first of all, I do have to tell you, this griddle I got for Father's Day. When did I get the griddle? Remember I told you I got the gas griddle.
Yeah, it was for Father's Day.
You
loving it?
Okay. I can't say I love it, because now that I have one, I wish I had a bigger one. Does that make sense? I was like, what guy doesn't say that? Now that I have it, now that I know how to use it, I wish I had a bigger one.
Right.
I have to work some things out, but I'm having fun. I'm cooking stuff I've never cooked before.
Good. Okay.
Made some bourbon chicken. Chicken. I was walking around my deck going, sample.
So you want free sample?
I mean, I think that's racist. I apologize. So I was just saying sample.
Got it.
It was dang good. Bourbon sauce.
Oh, it's one of the best. I mean, Oh my gosh.
Have you ever made it?
I have not made it.
Okay, because it is like barbecue sauce. You can go to the store, buy some of it.
Okay.
Or you can make it with 19 ingredients. Now, the cool thing about it, there are 19 ingredients that anyone who cooks a little bit should have. They're not. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I want to find out.
It is a little of every powder you have. Garlic powder, onion powder, blah, 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 ketchup, vinegar.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. And obviously bourbon, oyster sauce. I forget what was all in it. I think it was in the 19. So you make it like barbecue sauce. Oh, it came out delicious. Oh, my family was amazed. So that's the important stuff. That the griddle, the 4th of July, I've been doing some stuff, fried rice. I'm practicing. I am.
Okay.
Doug says in the chat room, he can never get bourbon chicken proper. And that's right. It's very sweet. It's very sticky. And that's that's the trick. This griddle, you get the chicken really going good. The chicken seared and all that. Then you pour this bourbon sauce on the griddle, on the hot griddle over the chicken. So
there's probably like steam and stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter immediately goes, that smells burnt. I said, that's not burnt, baby. That is love crystals.
Yeah.
The sugar, the ketchup, everything is melting together, sticking to that chicken. I'm just saying.
All right. I'll have to try. I'm gonna send me the recipe.
I took a picture of it. It's one of those things I've learned with recipes now. I just take a picture so they're on my phone.
Well, no, because you can't go to like any of those websites in order to find a recipe, because then you get like the person's life story that made the recipe. And ads pop up.
Right. And then you get like 19 reviews.
Like nobody wants that. I just want the recipe.
And the first 9 reviews are okay. I just will say I will read one review from my mind that takes the first 10 reviews and puts them all together.
Yeah.
And that is the person that goes, really love this recipe, but I used less sugar. I didn't use ketchup. I used tomato paste.
Oh, yeah. All the things that you can do to change it.
Well, no, they changed the whole thing. And at the end they go, wasn't quite right. I'm like,
no.
You just put in the review that you changed everything.
Yeah.
Your opinion
should have just made your own recipe. Yeah, should have just had your own link to your own recipe.
Your own recipe. Yeah. Or it's the opposite. It's the opposite. 5 stars, loved it, make again. That's it. Loved it, make again.
All right.
Have you ever left? Okay. I am guessing you're a review guy. I don't think you leave a review all the time. You have never left a review. That seems like you seem like a beer advocate guy that would go on there and
No, that's like those are the real snobs that I poured it into
Are you
my
a fake
pint
snob?
glass.
Are you a fake snob?
I'm not even a fake snob. I make it. I make beer, but it's not like
I've never left a review.
I've never left a review. No.
You know, so
I always compliment. I mean, unless it's just like really bad, then I might say something. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not going to complain.
My problem, especially with food stuff, I'm not willing to. I'd have to screw it up twice to even leave a bad one because I'd have to assume
That's fair.
You know, it's like grating ginger. You know, I haven't grated ginger a whole lot in my life, but you know, to make this stuff, I had to grade some ginger. You know,
sure.
So I'm willing to say maybe I screwed it up because I didn't grade the ginger properly. I don't know. But you know, it was. I'm just saying. My first.
I got you.
My first shot at bourbon chicken. The bourbon chicken was
the best.
5 stars. Now, the fried rice, now I've made like 3 times. I got to work on that. Now everyone loves it. I liked it. It was edible.
Yeah.
But it, you know what I'm saying? It just to me doesn't have that.
The same that you get if you were to get it from. Yeah. I'm with you.
I think it's bean sprouts. Is that the thing?
All of them. They got. Yeah, you got to have the bean sprouts, man.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean that's one of the things.
That's part of it. Yeah. Not enough butter, you think? Like butter?
Oh no! I'm learning with fried rice. Butter, and
you have to.
Butter, not just butter. You make a garlic butter. You know, you soften butter. You put garlic powder and garlic in it.
Yes.
I mean, I'm getting there.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
All right.
So those are the easy things to fix.
Right. Our people want us to just get to the point.
Okay, fine.
They don't. I mean, you know, we get all these people. You know, why don't you guys just talk about what I came to listen for?
I thought this was it.
I've always said, me and you do this show for 2 people. We love the people who listen in Augustine, Sydney, or we did learn.
That's right. Yeah, because we did look that up.
We have a big following in other countries.
That's wild to me.
Yeah, we're big. We are big, and we need to learn languages. I don't know any language, so I can't even talk to our big fans.
Right.
But we support you out there. We support you. So now I do really feel bad that I said sample in a racist way. So I apologize to any of our listeners overseas that took that the wrong way.
That is true.
But at the mall,
that is what they sound like.
You do have to take a sample.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you have to.
All right. Other very important things. Are you a YouTuber? Do you watch YouTube for any kind of entertainment or just educational or neither?
Educational, sure. I'll look some stuff up there.
Right. Like you need to learn how to change the brakes on a 97 Volkswagen. You might type that in.
Yeah.
Okay. I have slowly become an entertainment person.
Okay.
Watching some entertainment things.
Okay. Like what?
Okay. The one I watched tonight and now have got a little bit of hooked on YouTube is called Wrist of Fury.
Wrist
of Fury. Based on that title, what do you think I'm about to describe this show as?
I have no idea.
Okay. Wrist of Fury is a female comedian named Kelsey Cook. Kelsey Cook is a fairly attractive young woman who is a comedian. But in her previous life, she was a foosball champion. So she takes on other comedians at a game of foosball, and then the loser obviously has to do some kind of, bad thing. There's something.
Only on YouTube could an idea like that find traction.
It is hysterical because they're comedians and actors. She's a comedian. The first round, they play 3 rounds. How do I want to say that? It's the best out of 3. But if she wins the first 2, then she lets if the guy or the guest can win the 3rd one, then he's the winner. Does that make sense? Okay. It's the best out of 3, but they always do. I've never seen a good foosballer play foosball.
Neither have I.
I have played foosball a little bit, and I guess
everybody's done it. Yeah.
Okay, but now watching her and watching somebody do it, I realize I'm in my own mind. I always thought I'm pretty decent at foosball. Give me a beer and a food. I mean, I'm in there. I'm eye-hand coordination and whatever. I mean, it's not even close to what.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like she holds the ball, boop, boop, and it's in. It's like it's just, boop, boop, it's like. So these people come on trying to beat her. So the first 5 balls is normal foosball.
Okay.
Then the second match, they draw numbers, and then there's the guest gets an advantage of some sort, and she gets a disadvantage. Like
I'm watching one right now where she has to like cross her arms over herself in order to play.
All right, now that's the one that's one of the funnier ones, because if you notice who she's playing,
that's the guy from the league.
From the league,
he's hilarious.
I got to tell you, you need to just turn that episode off because you need to watch it. That one is hysterical.
Well, that's the first thumbnail that popped up. I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. That's a funny one. Now, some of them aren't hysterical because the guests are trying to beat her so bad that they're just concentrating on playing foosball.
And there's no banter.
He is actually one of the better ones she plays. You'd have to watch it. I want to give it away. Don't want to, I'm just saying. I'm recommending Wrist of Fury what's nice, they're only like 15 or 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she either has to play with her hands behind her back. On one, she played backwards, blindfolded. She draws a number and she has to do something. And in the case for him, his advantages in the second round is he can score in either goal.
Okay.
So he can flip it either direction. He just needs to get a ball in a goal.
Man.
Now, I will say the reason you have to watch the whole thing is in the ending of theirs, he has a choice. The loser has a choice of eating a dog biscuit or having a wax, a hair removal with wax. You got to watch the whole thing. It's just, just say it. Wrist of Fury.
Oh, all right.
With Kelsey Cook. And she does a podcast and some comedy stuff. And
I'll have to check her out.
I found it very amusing. While we're on the important topic of viewing pleasure, I think we've kind of touched on this in the past, but 2 things come on this Friday night. On Netflix, the newest season of Second Chance U.
Yes.
Comes on. If I'm not mistaken, this would be season 4. I don't know. I know for a fact they did. This is season 4. They did 2 seasons with the first school, where the coach was pretty. Both coaches are pretty out there. But the very first, the first 2 seasons, the same school, the same coach. Then they do it last year. There was a new school, new coach. I have no idea. I didn't even want to look it up. I don't know what's going to go on with this season, but I'm excited to watch it. I enjoyed the first 3 seasons.
Yeah. People
who've never seen it, it's about and it just lost me. What do they call these? It's called Second Chance U because these are
I forget what the name of this
there's a term for it. There's a term for it. But they're where highly skilled professional athletes that don't meet the criteria to be at a standard college.
Yeah.
They go to this small college for their freshman and sophomore year to get their grades up, to get, things. And then obviously these schools also have football and stuff. So these guys are still playing football and trying to get better and all that.
Yeah.
Highly recommended if you're a football person. Just say. That being said, there's vulgar language. It is very, it gets real. It gets gritty. Does get pretty. Does get very. The other thing that comes on July 19th is an Amazon Prime show, and that's the All or Nothing. I don't know if you've seen that. And I know we talked about it, and that's why All or Nothing is the same film crew that does the HBO preseason Hard Knocks.
Okay.
Stuff. I mean, it's NFL Films. The difference is Hard Knocks is done through the preseason, and they show you every week that week. You know what I mean? They edit quickly and turn it over. On Amazon, this will be the third season. On Amazon, the show called All or Nothing, they filmed the whole season.
Yeah.
So this is filmed last year, but they filmed the whole season, every game, things in between. You're in the coaches' meetings. You're in the whole thing. I'm pretty excited because this season is the Panthers. So and the Panthers had some controversy last year. I mean, they were an up and down team. They didn't quite meet the expectations. So July 19th, that'd be Friday, Amazon Prime. And what's kind of nice, if I'm not mistaken, both of those shows, they drop them all, meaning I think you can watch the whole season.
No, it's not like you have to wait each week for a new episode to drop or anything like that. You can binge it.
Right. So if you like Hard Knocks, this is a little more in depth because it's, for the whole season. An episode covers maybe one or two games, that type thing. But All or Nothing for you football people. And what I like, they release them at the right time. We're in that football mode right now, Chris. You want to see something you haven't seen. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. I'm sure you are. There's a lot of
back into the swing of things.
But if you want to just watch some inside, some football stuff, these are two shows highly recommended.
Agreed.
Last Chance You on Netflix, All or Nothing, Amazon Prime, and that's the Panthers. Last year they did the Rams. You can remember these are always a season behind. So those were the Rams where there was a firing, their coach left. I mean, it was a pretty fun season to watch last year too, if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, that was Jeff Fisher.
Yeah. But last year they also did a college team. They did two shows, a pro team and a college, and they did Michigan, which is also very good. I mean, I enjoyed watching that. So, highly recommend it. I
agree.
So for all three things to watch: Risk of Fury, Second Chance You, All or Nothing. So just turn off your, just leave now. No, wait.
Leave now? Okay.
Two of those aren't on until Friday, so you can't can't go on.
All right.
Awesome. Kevin in Hawaii. Sorry, Kevin is late, but we're glad you're out there, Hawaii, Kevin.
Hey.
Because now we're going to start talking stuff that Kevin needs to be here because this is episode 7. We need one of those things where I do a number. Episode 7, the 7th episode where we discuss the perfect fantasy football league settings. And I think we talked a little off air. I did some thinking, and this part is important. What good is a good league, especially a competitive league where we're going to have some podcasters, some people in the industry. The fishbowl, you said it earlier. I mean, you hear fishbowl, that means something.
Yeah, 1,200 people.
Right, 1,200 people. I think our goal is to get 12, but you got to start somewhere. So
we'll get there.
This is going to be the AFFI. There it is, the AFFI.
Okay.
A Fantasy Fan Invitational League.
I love it.
What it is. The AFFI. So, you know what? That's what it's going to be. Someday there's going to be shirts. You're going to be able to wear a shirt that says, I played in the AFFI Fantasy Football League with the perfect fantasy football settings.
I'm in.
There you go. So, I'll throw that out there right now.
Okay.
If you're a listener, even though we probably are going to next week finalize the actual league settings.
Finally.
But if you're a listener to this show and you're interested in playing in this league, you need to email justafantasyfan@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put AFFI. That's it. You put AFFI because right now no one's going to know what the AFFI is unless you listen to our show. So if you listen and you want to be in, shoot an email justafantasyfan@gmail.com.
Should see if we get it trending. Hashtag AFFI.
That's the t-shirt. Hashtag AFFI. A Fantasy Fan Invitational Fantasy Football League with the perfect fantasy football settings.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're going with. There you go. So we now have a name for the league. We are going somewhere.
Oh, we're set. Yeah.
All right. So
that's really all you need at that point. We don't even care about the settings anymore. All you need is the name.
That's right. We have the name. Name it and they will come. I saw the movie.
Oh,
yeah. Name it and they will come. So Kevin, Doug, I know you're both out there. Either one of you are interested. I think Kevin has been with us from Hawaii for the whole
he's in
episodes.
He's in.
Yeah. So you know what? We will finalize. Like I said, I think we're close. We might even finalize tonight, I guess, because I think I have it all together. And I think it's going to take me. That's why we had to start a little early. It's probably going to take me 15 minutes to read off all the settings we actually have now on paper. Because we did get quite a few. I think we're close. And now that we have a name, we're really just about there. So
that's all we need.
There you go. So the AFFI, 10 to 12 players. That's kind of what we came up with.
Right.
You need to be on one of the top sites.
Okay.
Obviously, that's hard to pick until you get your scoring and figure out which site will let you adapt to your scoring.
Yeah.
We think for the perfect site, there needs to be some investment. $1,500.
Yep.
Now I put in quotes here. I'm going to take this right from the fishbowl. Just a fantasy fan at gmail.com.
Oh.
They were asking that in the chat room. They missed the email. I put in because I agree. Something that the fishbowl does. I've been listening to a lot of drafts, a lot of podcasts I listen to are all people that are in the fishbowl. Somebody I know is also in the fishbowl. Maybe next week. Is your draft complete?
Yes, we're done. Okay. Yeah, we got done on Sunday.
All right. Okay, I didn't know if you'd be done already because I know a few of them are still.
There's some that are still in like the 15th, 16th round, which is wild to me.
I did next week. You need to come prepared. We'll talk about the draft and all that.
Yeah.
But it made me think, with a name like AFFI, and that you're going to be the most perfect scoring out there.
Yeah.
Then, you know what? I agree. The payouts, we got to figure out and all that. But I want us to try to figure out a way to funnel in a fundraiser.
Sure.
And obviously we have Wesley's, dog, Brave Breeds, is always looking for donations.
Yep.
So, TDs for BB. So TDs for Brave Breeds, maybe we can work something out where, because I know the Fish Bowl, they do. I mean, they donate money to certain organizations and raise money.
Yeah, most of their stuff goes to Fantasy Cares. Like they do other like podcasts. People give private donations, public donations, all that stuff.
Right. So I think that's what we're going to try to figure out here too, where obviously there will be. And the first season, we already talked about it. That's in our list here coming up. We're going to have a trophy. There's going to be a belt. There's going to be some
hardware.
There's hardware that you'll want to win.
Yes, sir.
If you're an AFFI participant. But I think to get another organization involved and an organization where there's an NFL guy, there also, that maybe we could come up with something where, we can, because again, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And 10 years from now, there could be hoodies, AFFI, I scored and I saved the dog. That's all,
right.
We can do that. So, so 10 to 12 players, top site, $50 to $100, PPR format.
Yep.
A league trophy.
Yep.
Draft slots picked randomly. And you get to pick your spot. it's always hard to say that, how you put that in words. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're randomly going to put you in order to pick where you want to pick your order. That always seems odd.
Pick your seat.
Pick your seat. Single commissioner league, league voting structure before the season starts. Majority needs to take effect to change a rule. After a season start, 100% unanimous, because we do feel we did come up. There can be weird things. Again, 10 to 12 teams, depending on what you have. We decided in a home league, we thought a super flex would be better. In a competitive league, we think a 2 QB would be a little harder. Just you have to work it. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. No, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 regular flex, a kicker, and a defense. We're looking at a bench of 6 or 7, depending if you have an IR spot or not. Which the more I think about it, I just don't think it matters, does it? You either have an IR spot or you don't. The IR spot makes you commit to only certain players versus a bench of 7. You obviously can have, 7 and nobody be injured. So, it kind of can work that way. No roster limits, mins or maxes, but you must have a position of every type on your roster before the end of that week. So you can't drop your kicker. You can't drop a defense to pick up.
None of that funky stuff.
You have to have one. You don't have to play them. They don't have to be in there. But you do have to have one. We decided on a fab of $1,000. We went back and forth if we wanted no $0 bids, which is what I still have written down. But a lot of people still have said, if you keep it $1, you have to manage your money just a tad better.
I think that makes sense.
You got to have a few dollars at the end of the year, at the end of the season. So it'll prevent you from just bidding all your money. Or you could and go, hey, I want the guy that bad. I'm willing to take, my chance. That's on you.
Some folks do.
The other thing I posted here is waivers would run, because it's fab, waivers would run every night, Tuesday through Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Because that way every night you can bid on new players, right? I mean, I'm not sure why that wouldn't be the case.
I like that.
Except on Sunday. I think on Sunday morning, and I don't know if the site allows us to do this, on Sunday morning it should be open. Meaning, things happen, and things can happen at 12:30. If your kicker gets hurt in warm up, I think you should be able to pick somebody up. So you can't say, well, no, that requires fab. No, my point is you had all week to bid on players. It's now Sunday morning. If someone wants to pick somebody up that never got
free for all,
So, I just don't know if there's a site out there that will allow you to do it that way. But
you'd have to. Yeah, I have to look into that.
Well, you'd have to manage it yourself. The actual commissioner would have to turn the fab on and off. So it could be done if someone's there managing it.
I know Fantrax, they offer quite a decent amount of customizations. I don't know if that's one of them though.
Right. Kevin is saying Kentucky Derby draft position. He believes that's what the NNFC and the NFBC call it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's a random way of picking. Right. So that was our bet. Now here's what I have on scoring. And unfortunately, this scoring thing, I wrote a bunch of notes. And then we were off for a couple weeks. I think I have them. One, you have to make sure you have decimal points.
Yes.
I put to the 100th. I know some sites allow you to go more, some only go tenths, but you have to, at a minimum, you need to do
at least that.
At least that. Yes.
Yeah.
We decided passing TD 6 points. We decided tight ends would get 1.5 points. PPR.
I like it.
The premium. We decided on first down 1 point premium.
Okay. I like that.
We decided on the victory point. So,
yes.
I mean, if you're questionable,
Helps with tiebreakers.
Sure. I mean, it's just one of those things. We decided the rushing bonus would be 3 points when you hit 100 yards, and then another 4 points when you hit 200 yards.
You mean 4?
Another four. What I say? Yeah, another 4. So So if your guy gets 200 yards or more, you're getting 7 total points.
Oh, you mean for rushing and receiving?
Rushing? No, just rushing. If somebody rushes
just rushing
200 yards,
they'll
get, you get 3 points for the first 100 and 4 more points for the second 100 for rushing.
Yeah.
For passing, you get 3 points for 300 yards.
Right.
And then another 4 points if you get to 400 yards.
Okay. All right.
Now, again, something else we decided, but it would depend on a site would allow you to do that is we thought to make it interesting is combined yardage should count. So that obviously in a PPR league, the running back, the Duke Johnson type who might get 50 yards passing and 50 yards running should get those 3 points.
Yeah, it goes to scrimmage yards, not just yards on the. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So again, I haven't looked into this. Will be the next step I'll have to do is look at different leagues and see what software allows some of this.
Yeah,
and
that's a lot of customizations.
Yeah, I know. But if you're going to have T-shirts that say,
if you want the perfect league,
AFFI,
yes sir,
the perfect fantasy football scoring, then you have to go out there and do your homework.
I agree.
We decided defenses. We didn't get into defensive scoring because we kind of ran out of time, but we did decide we wanted to start high at 30 points, meaning it's high and it's going to work down. We want points. The AFFI is about points.
That's all it's about.
That's all. It is all it's about. You know what? You want to go, man, I got 240 and I'm getting beat. You gotta go.
Oh, hey.
I need my guy on Monday to come through.
Right.
We decided kicking points need to be based on yardage.
Yes.
So that
fractional.
Yes. So that is what we have right now. That is
I'm with it.
What we have written down. Is there any fantasy football league settings that you don't feel we've addressed that should be, or anything you think we need to tweak and or add to our scoring and or any setting at this point? What do you think? What do you think of this league so far?
I mean, so far I think we've got everything. I can't think of anything that we're missing at this point. I think we're good.
I'm agreeing. Now, here's what I've always learned. You can do all this on paper, and then as soon as you find the closest site that allows you to do some of this,
they're missing that one thing.
Something you're either going to miss or you're going to go, oh, we didn't think of that. Exactly. Let's turn that on.
Yeah, but I think we've covered the.
Yeah, right. So, the other thing which I didn't put on here, and I think that's what we wanted to talk about a little tonight, which might change things if we decide to combine fundraiser in this, which is payouts. I know we first of all talked about doing small payoffs every week for different things.
Yeah.
Could be good, could be bad. I think that's something we're going to dive into once
people interested, right?
Huh?
It keeps people interested.
Keeps you interested. But how much that payout is for those, that's just what we'd have to figure out.
Right.
The issue to me sometimes is it worth $10 payouts for the commissioner to have to do the work or keep track?
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the year, have two people going, well, I won that week back there. I should have got $10 for my kicker, hit a 56 yarder. And then I say, no, somebody else kicked 57. You didn't see that. You get the $10. Somebody else did. But yes, the whole point of that, and I do still like it, that keeps everybody interested. Everyone's playing for something.
Yeah.
So then my other thing is, instead of dollars, do you just give points for that? And then what I mean by that is, and then at the end of the season, the person with the most points, how do I want to say this? And I kind of said it a different way last time we had a show, but then I thought it through and thought you could have a drawing only based on the weekly thing, meaning at the end of the 13 weeks, the 13 people who won that week would get a ball and a thing. So if you won 3, you'd get 3 balls. You know, if somebody won 5, they'd have 5 balls. You turn the crank, or you'd hit a random number generator based on the balls you have. It would come up and say Chris Allen, and Chris Allen would get $100. So
that's involved, but I like it.
You still could win the $100 with 1 week where you won because you're kicker,
right? Rather
than just $10. So it still is a reason to keep you playing, but you don't have to worry about all these little payouts. You can just say, okay, you know what? You accumulate balls these 13 weeks. And, obviously if you don't have any balls, you're not going to win. And if you won 7 of the 7 of the 13 weeks, you got a better shot at winning that $100.
I agree. Yeah, I like it.
I thought that would be cool.
Yeah.
So that was my thought there. Then my next thought was, as a fundraiser for this, I haven't come up with an answer. This is one of those where I have a question and no answer. Okay. I just have an idea. I would like somehow, without the fundraiser participating, they have skin in the game. What I mean by that is, the fundraiser is going to get this much, period.
Okay.
But if certain things happen, meaning they get so many points, I don't even know. I've thought different ways and never, meaning, I don't know. Do you set a points thing and say, hey, you know what, every week, whatever the average scoring for the week is for the season, that's the number that the fundraiser people get. So where would that slot them in? And based on that, they'd get a higher percentage. Meaning you want to score points, you want to score points every week so that you score higher than the average. So that when the average is at the end, you might get more money than the fundraiser people. I don't know. I just was trying to think that, and again, that one idea. Another idea was, you have a random, I don't know, like a best ball team for them. Something in my mind was like, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I said, I don't have an answer. And I said that up front. So I want some people to think it through there. How could you make the fundraiser people have a little skin in the game, to where they're either one interested, or you as a player go, man, I know this has already happened to me for the regular league, but man, I need to make sure I score this many points so I beat the fundraiser people.
Yeah.
That type thing. Or maybe it's you lose a ball, or everybody starts with a ball. And then if you hit below their point score, I don't know. It's out there now. People think about it.
We'll think on it.
I don't know. There's just something about me that thinks the fundraiser would be more interesting if they're also involved somehow in the league, So I'm throwing that out there.
Okay.
And then the next thing is, then I would assume in a league like this, let's say we figured out all the other payments. Who are you paying at the end? Are you paying for just Super Bowl winner? Are you paying for the participants in the Super Bowl with the winner taking a little more? Or are you also paying the league winner? I've heard arguments for all three, and all three are probably legit arguments. Some people argue that it's harder to win a league because there's 13 weeks versus winning a Super Bowl where it's just, a few weeks. So a lot of people think that should be paid. The downfall to me on paying that is a lot of times the guy who wins the league starts off the season 5-0 and really knows he's going to win the league anyway, that everyone else is just trying to win to get into the playoffs.
Right.
That there's no incentive, some kind of, but that's not his fault, I guess. I don't know. So, do you put the incentive on the playoff, or do you put the incentive on the weekly play?
I think there should be rewards for both, because managing your team for 13 weeks and coming out on top, I think, is a feat in and of itself. And then also making it through into the Super Bowl and then winning is also another challenge. So I think there should be rewards for both of those.
All right. I understand that. The argument, and again, I am now devil's advocate, because I'm not sure that I don't disagree or don't agree with you completely. But the devil's advocate is, to keep this more similar to real football, the reward should go to the team who wins it at the end. You know, the team that didn't lose their last game, you know, they got through the season, they made the playoffs, they went on a run. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen teams in the Super Bowl that barely make it and win the Super Bowl. We've also seen teams that go undefeated and lose the Super Bowl.
Right.
You know, so I do see both arguments. That's I do see both. So my argument a little is, if you're doing this as an incentive, if you're paying the league winner as an incentive to keep them competitive during the season, well, they won the league. They were competitive anyway. So you really paid them to not do anything more than they did anyway.
Right.
And then the people who don't have a shot at winning it, that's not a concern anymore. They're just trying to win the playoff, get into the playoffs, and they're working awful hard to still win enough money to make it worth their while. That's my problem. And, people like winning big money. People like saying, "Hey, I won $600."
Well, yeah, that'd be nice.
Instead of saying I won 300 and he won 300. People want to say I won 600.
Well, I'm not saying that the league winner and the Super Bowl winner should get the same amount. I'm just saying they should get paid.
Okay, something.
Yeah.
Or back to my drawing thing. Do you give the guy who wins the season 5 more balls in the $100 drawing? Maybe something like that.
Because they have to win more games.
Right. The odds are they won more games. They probably have a few more balls in there anyway.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, if all that is an incentive just to set your lineup every week, I have trouble buying that, because I'm a person who sets my lineup every week all the time. Even when I'm not in it anymore. So I hate the fact that sometimes you're rewarding somebody who wins the league just for setting their lineup and winning their, I understand how hard it is, but I also understand that the goal is to win the Super Bowl in real football. That's the thing. Is this real football or is this something different?
Well, this is fantasy football, so it is something different.
That I agree. Like I said, this is one where I see both sides. Okay. And this is one where if someone just said, "This is the way I'd like it," we should do it. But
league vote. I said put the league vote.
But we're going to have t-shirts that say AFFI, the perfect fantasy football settings. Then the payout has to be right. Now, the Fish Bowl, is there any money involved at all, or is all of it donations all going to fundraiser?
Well, the prizes and stuff like that, they're donated from the sites and the podcasts.
That's what I've heard. So there is no payoff. Well, you get so if you win and I know the way that works though, there's so many teams and leagues, you're winning one step and then you got to go to another step. Yeah. It's a little harder than what we're starting, which is just one league.
Right. My playoffs start, I thought, in like week 12 or something like that.
Let's say you win it all. Are you just getting the biggest prize, the most prizes?
Yeah, the most, like the biggest set of prizes. I think I'd have to look back, but like some of the older like grand prizes were like lifetime memberships to Pro Football Focus, stuff that's worth like thousands of like $1,000.
Well, and I could see us going that direction. I mean, I don't have a problem going out there selling ourselves and the FFI and saying, "Hey, we're doing this as a fundraiser." But I also want, and I thought this through too, I also want our trophy / championship belt or whatever to be something special too, where you would want your picture taken. You would want to post it on social media showing your.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
And obviously the issue there is, if you're going to do that, especially the first season, we talked about the first season, some of the money would go towards paying for a nice, award or trophy or belt.
Right.
And then how do you make sure you get that back? Obviously, if you're buying a nice one, it's going to be rotated around.
Well, yeah.
At least for us to begin with, I don't think I have a problem early on when you only have 12. But, in 5 years, when we got 10 leagues in this and some kind of a, Chris, I'm saying that
it could happen. It could happen.
It could. The AFFI is going to be huge.
Yeah. I think it could happen.
I'm just saying we'll have to go down that road a little bit.
Okay.
But I think we're close, Chris. Would you agree that we're close on the settings? This is definitely This is going to be a points league. Like I said, you could get up on a, Monday morning and go, man, I got 247. I'm looking good.
Right.
And still get beat with somebody who scores 280. Because
but still you score all those points.
But Americans love points, don't we?
Right.
Points and calories. We can never get enough.
Every time. It never fails.
And they just make you want more. If you play in a league where 225 points is big, you want to play in a league next year that 250 is big. You just never enough points. You can't score enough in America. That's the model.
Oh man. Yeah.
The AFFI. Perfect fantasy football settings where you can never score enough. We're going there.
That's where we're going.
Points. That's where we're going. So, Chris, that's where we're at. Now I have to get in there and now start looking at some of the apps and some of the leagues and see what we can, and we talked about major sites. Would you still say, are we talking ESPN, Yahoo, and CBS? Obviously there's Fantrax. There's another one just slipped my mind. I know of those. There's 5 that I know of, and I'm sure there's more.
Uh-huh.
Those are just 5 that I've either played at or been a part of drafts or something. But if you're going to, what does the Fishbowl use for their scoring? Do they have their own? Huh?
MFL.
They use it. Okay. And I didn't even mention the right. NFL.com has their own.
Yeah. And that one's like one of the more flexible websites.
Right.
I mean, that's
is that one though where you have to pay to get that flexibility? See, some of them if you want the flexibility, the league has to kick in money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's still part of my problem. And I don't think the first season it's a big deal, but we talked about that also. And that's, do you do a vault? Do you do somebody to hold the money? How do you do it? And in the future, I think you have to do that. But at the same time, especially if you're doing for fundraiser, you hate the idea of someone taking 10, 15, 20% to hold your money. When you're trying to raise money for a cause and pay the winners, so we'll have to look into that, but I think we're getting there. So listeners of this show, live, LennyMelnickFantasySports.com, Legend Sports Network, just a fantasy fan at gmail.com. That's Easy's email. Put AFFI in the subject line because nobody right now will know what that means because I'm not going to publicize it anywhere else yet. Once I see how many people are interested, once we get it set up, then obviously I'll go out there and because this is an invitational. And if you send me an email, the odds are you're more likely to get an invite than someone who doesn't send me an email. Mm-hmm. But we will talk. We need to, I know people that are a few different networks and do a few things. I'll definitely shoot them an email if we need players and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Are you interested? We'll let you pub your podcast name or your website
for sure
to be in the AFFI. I mean, I'm just saying. People want t-shirts.
They do.
Swag.
That is all people want.
Yes. A fantasy fan invitational. The perfect fantasy football league.
Yes.
Chris, I think it's taken us 7 episodes.
Almost 2 months.
2 weeks off. No, 2 weeks off. It's been over 2 months. So we started
over 2 months to figure this out, but we got there.
That's right. And we needed to figure out how to kill these 2 crappy football months.
Yeah.
We did it in the middle of the summer.
We did it.
And we really have football to talk about next week. I mean, stuff's next week we will get into football, Chris.
Yeah.
And we'll talk. I'm interested in the Fish Bowl. I did another best ball draft. Now I'm in 2 best ball drafts for a couple other guys that asked me. They were trying to get, they're doing them as, you got to pay to be in them, but they're more for mock and fun type stuff for their show. And again, a lot has changed right now, and I'm doing a lot of my own mock drafting.
Okay.
My main league I don't think have we been on since my main league had its drawing?
No.
Okay. I got the number 2 pick.
Okay.
All right. That's the highest I've ever had. So I got the number 2 pick to determine where I'm going to pick.
Okay.
All right. I've already picked, so whatever you say now, it can't help me.
Was it a keeper league though? I forget if this one was a keeper league.
This is a keeper league, 3 keepers.
Okay. But
the keeper rules are a little questionable because a lot of top players can't be picked. You cannot keep anybody that's draft value is round 4 or higher.
Yeah, okay. Late round guys. All right.
Well, when I say by 4, that's based on where their draft was started when they first came in the league. Like Kamara right now is kept in the 8th round this year.
Okay.
Because the guy got him, it jumps up 2 years every 2
year. Rounds.
So he got him back like round 14.
That's what I'm saying. Like most people will invest in late round guys in order to get that value.
Once Kamara would get up to where he'd be, once his value moves up to the 4th round, he can't be kept anymore.
Oh, wow. So you can keep them for that's almost like a dynasty league at that point.
Exactly. So the earlier you get the later you get a player that becomes good, then you can ride that guy for a while.
So you want to invest in rookies.
Yeah, and I keep trading them all away. So now, that being said, I originally thought in my head I don't have any keepers.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had no keepers.
Okay.
Now, we also, in my league, anybody not drafted in that season automatically has a value of 8th round the next year.
Okay.
So if you pick up somebody off of waivers, then next year you can keep them for the 8th round.
Okay.
If you already have an 8th round keeper, then the next guy is the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next, meaning I this year technically have 3 people I can keep in the 8th round.
Interesting. Okay.
So that means my keepers would technically now be the 6th, 7th, and the 8th. You know what I'm saying? You can't move them. You only get 1 pick in the 8th. So
yeah.
I forgot I traded and got Damian Williams.
Ooh.
Who was a waiver pickup last year. So I would have Damian Williams in the 8th round.
Okay.
That would be my top keeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's going in the 2nd, worst case top of the 3rd right now. So
yeah.
Damian Williams, and he's moving up because of the news and some of that stuff. So he would be one of my keepers.
Okay.
The other keeper I have that right now has value is Pettis.
Yeah.
I can keep him in the 8th, but technically now, I would keep him in the 8th and move Williams to the 7th because Damian Williams still has value as a 7th.
Yeah.
So I would have a pretty decent running back. I'd be starting with a decent running back. And what a lot of people think for the 49ers could be their number 1 receiver, which is pretty good. So those are my 2 for sure keepers.
Mm-hmm.
The only other questionable keeper I have would be Dak Prescott. I can keep him in the 9th. This is a super flex league.
Okay.
So to have a pretty decent quarterback in the 9th round is a pretty good value.
I think so.
Now, that being said, this super flex league I'm in has never been a big quarterback heavy league. Does that make sense? Meaning no one drafts quarterbacks in this league until the 4th and the 5th round anyway, even though it's a super flex league.
Right.
I'm usually the guy who, like last year, I got Aaron Rodgers in the 4th. I couldn't go any longer. I'm like, it's a super flex. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers, It
didn't work out so well, did it though?
Not last year. Now, I mean, but I will take Aaron Rodgers this year again in the 4th if he's there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, we can name a lot of players that end up not paying their value, but I'm just saying. So right now, Dak Prescott, I have as a keeper when I'm doing my mock drafts. I think in the 9th, what's nice about that is if I decide to go with no quarterback. See, last year I did it different. I took Aaron Rodgers in the 4th, knowing I was going to play a little bit of a game, which I did, and I took Baker Mayfield in the 16th.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew Baker Mayfield, if he took off, I could have him for the next, bunch of years.
Yeah.
And I traded Baker Mayfield for Gronk. So I traded. Well, hey, I made it to the. I made it to the semifinals. I mean, I had to play.
Looking back on it in hindsight,
right?
I mean,
yeah. I mean, sure, everyone can say that. Sure, I'd look at Baker Mayfield this year in the 13th. No, be the 14th. But I don't. Instead I had Gronk last year to get me through the playoffs, and it didn't quite pay off either, to be real honest. I didn't win the Super Bowl, and Gronk was just okay.
Yeah, he wasn't Gronk.
Right. But hey, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. There's times you got to go, I got a shot at winning this. Baker Mayfield. And here's the thing. I traded Baker Mayfield. I actually made that trade the week when he was going to become the starter.
Okay.
See, I made that trade not seeing if Baker Mayfield was even going to be, there was, when I traded him in week 5, when did he?
Yeah, that had been week 4.
And so when I did that trade, I figured that was the highest value he was either going to have as a trading, or I was going to be forced to keep him or drop him. I mean, if he was going to suck, he wouldn't have been worth keep. You know what I'm saying? So
fair. Yeah.
I figured Gronk at that point versus a Baker Mayfield that we didn't know about. Now, like I said, a lot has changed since then. Baker Mayfield was successful. They now have Odell Beckham. I mean, yeah, if I'd have known all that ahead of time, I might not have taken, I might not have made the deal. But that's the point. I took Aaron Rodgers early, figuring I have a great number one. It's a super flex, and I'll take one late. Debating about that again. I mean, there's a couple rookie and young quarterbacks I could take late this year and run with them and run with Dak Prescott. Being it's a super flex, you can, I don't have to play a quarterback if I have to wait an extra couple weeks for Haskins or somebody else to play. But
sure.
All that being said, I had the second choice to decide where I wanted to pick. The guy who drew off the number one ball, he chose to pick in slot number 1.
Okay.
Where would you pick now? What? Just curious now, based on what you know about the league. It's a PPR, 12 teams, 3 keepers. Where would you want to draft?
So PPR, Superflex, 3 keepers.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 7, 8, somewhere in there. So 8 to 10, 8 to 11, somewhere in there.
All right. That's close. That's not what I went with. That was close. I mean, really, the debate with me was down to I either was going to take pick number 2 or I was going to take 12.
Yeah,
I did some mock drafts and did some things based on keepers I thought would be kept because we don't announce keepers till the morning of the draft. So any mock draft you're doing, you're just hoping or thinking. So I ended up picking the 12th slot.
Oh, okay.
Couple of reasons. There seems to always be 2 decent wide receivers there.
That's why I want the back half of the draft.
That seem to be okay. Mm-hmm. Then the other thing that in this league I feel is important is, and I don't think people think this through, by being the number 12 pick, I get the number 1 waiver wire spot. We don't do fab. This is waiver wire. Mm-hmm. And it's a continuous waiver setting.
Okay.
So I will have the number 1 waiver from week 1 till week 13. If that's what I actually
hold
playoffs even.
Right.
I think being able to take 2 top wide receivers, let's say, in picks 12 and 13, and I'm sorry, the last 3 years, weeks 1, 2, or 3 have had big waiver pickups that have changed leagues.
Yeah.
And I know people don't believe me. Last year, James Conner in a lot of leagues was the number 1 waiver wire week 1. A lot of leagues drafted before. So I feel that there's a better chance. I think in my mind, there's a chance that number 1 waiver pick in one of the first weeks of the season could get me another number 1, draft slot. So especially in the running backs. You know, I mean, that seems to be where it always happens. You know, somebody gets hurt, you know, something major changes, and somebody that no one saw coming is now a starter.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I felt the way the draft's fallen this year, having that, you know, 12, 13 pick, and then having that waiver wire option, you know, early in the season, and which I had that last year too. I picked 12 last year. I traded the waiver wire spot last year.
Oh, so you can do that yearly. Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I turned that waiver wire. Actually, that was part of my whole Gronk and Baker Mayfield trade. That also included, because here's the deal. See, the story gets better. I cut Baker Mayfield.
Oof.
Okay. Now hold on. I cut him because I had the number one waiver wire and I knew I could pick him back up later that week if I needed him.
Oh, so it's about timing. Okay.
So it was all about timing, and I knew I had the pick. So when that all happened and they announced he was going to be the starter, the kid who wanted him contacted me and said, I want Baker Mayfield, but you have the number one waiver wire. Are you going to use it? Well, yes. You know, I said, yeah, but I said, you know, and he said, would you trade me Baker Mayfield? I said, no, I'd rather trade you the waiver wire spot so that you can get him or not. That's on you. I don't care. I mean, didn't happen. I didn't want, you know, I'm like, no, I'll trade you the waiver wire spot. You make it happen, not me. Yeah. I didn't want to put it because then I had to drop somebody. You know, the whole thing was just, you know, so I just traded the waiver wire spot for Gronk. So, but that's my point. I mean, that's added value to me this year in picking in that 12 spot. So, Kevin,
the only issue for me for the 12 spot is that you don't have a chance to really get a jump on any positional runs that happen during the draft.
The
7 to 11, maybe that.
Okay, I'll argue that with you on this. This is a home league where only when I say a handful, it's a 12 league. We're pretty competitive. You know, 4 or 5 of us are really into it. 2 or 3 are into it. And then a few are just enjoy it. So a half of them aren't paying attention to any runs. They have a list of who they want to draft, and that's who they're drafting. So I've been in this league long enough to know runs aren't a thing yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really a run. The other thing is I've found, and maybe I'm wrong, in these keeper leagues, now this is our 3rd year doing keepers, runs don't seem to be as much of a thing because everyone has 1 or 2 of everybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I would agree with you in a league where it's maybe a little more competitive and there's no keepers because now no one has a quarterback. So when they start going, you need to have one. I'm going to start with Dak. I'm starting with Dak Prescott. I'm starting with Damian Williams, and I'm starting with Pettis. I don't, you know, there's no run I have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, what's the worst case? Tight ends all go, and then I end up with, Graham, Eifert, and Reed. I'll take my chances. You know, I mean, I'm just saying. Right now, tight end's the thing I keep punting. Whenever I do my mock drafts, I struggle with a tight end. I'm either, which that's happened. That's been my number one decision now, picking 12. At 12, not only do I usually have 2 decent wide receivers, in a lot of my mocks, Kelsey's dropping that far because everyone's taking running backs. So, you know, here's the thing. Kelsey's available, but Ertz and Kittle are both keepers. Both of those guys are keeping their tight end. So Kelsey is really the only tight end in the draft. So, you know, everybody else is just regular tight end. So, you know, that's my debate. You know, I've done that a few times, and I'm not a fan taking a tight end in 12 or 13. But back to what I just said, if you look at my keepers, you know, the weakness of my 3 keepers is the wide receiver. Pettis could be a number 1 or 2 round value. We don't know that yet.
It's like a lot.
I know. I'm hoping if he gets to be 4 or 5. A lot of people think he could be their main thing, or, you know, he's not and he's cuttable. But my point is my wide receiver is my weak spot. Damian Williams could be a number 1. Dak Prescott's probably a number 1 quarterback in a 2 quarterback league.
He's been a QB1 his entire career.
So the only position where I have a little weakness would be wide receiver and the tight end. If I add actually at 12, I mean, in mock drafts, I've seen all kinds of different wide receivers at 12. The only one you don't see is Hopkins.
No, he's pretty consistently 6'7".
But other than that, all the others I've seen, all the others can fall to 12. Yeah. Jones, Beckham, Thomas,
Adams.
So,
Adams is actually between 8 and 11 somewhere.
Adams, but I've done mocks where he's there too. But it's just a matter if you like him better or not. My point is, if I start with one of those wide receivers and then Kelsey, I now would have a strong player at all 4 spots. That's the only reason I'd consider taking a tight end there. I would have, because let's say, you say I get Tom.
And you have no problem with team stacking because, you have two solid players on the same bye.
Yeah, that's true. So that's where I'm at.
I don't care about that. I'm just wondering if you do.
I don't either.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a problem with Damian Williams and Kelsey. If that offense rolls, both will be fine.
Yeah.
If it doesn't roll, both are not going to. I mean, both are a problem either way. And that's where someone would say, well, you want to spread that out. But
I don't care.
I'm smart enough. I'll wiggle a trade out of somebody. I'll do something.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I know that was because I was thinking, man, the night we had that pick, the night we would have done the first show that we were off. That was the night I had to make the decision. We had 24 hours. We only had 24 hours to tell them when we were going to pick, or we got the next highest spot. So I had 24 hours, or I'd have been picking number 2.
Okay.
And we've had that conversation. I waited damn near all 24 hours. I love to fuck with people.
What a jerk.
I know. That's what I'm.
You're so mean.
Chris Allen, where can people find you? What do you have going on? What do you have out there on paper?
Okay, so I got a lot of things going on. I got a lot of things. Scott Fishbowl, we already talked about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it next week even more.
Yeah, go and donate to Fantasy Cares or try and get into any of the Eliminator leagues that are run by John Bosch if you ever get a chance to.
Website, or do you just Google Fishbowl?
Yeah, Google Fishbowl or FC Eliminator, and then FC John Bosch. Yeah, Bosch's name should probably pop up, and you can hop into those. All that goes to Fantasy Cares. Let's see, Fantrax, NFL draft kit we're putting together. I've already had like two or three pieces come out for that. I've got another one that I'm writing right now on wide receiver busts. That one should come out on Friday. 4 for 4.
Pettis isn't on there, right? You didn't put Pettis on there, right?
No. I don't see him as being a bust. For 4 for 4, we've got let's see, I've had quarterback profiles, player profiles. The 2 or 3 pieces come out for them over the past couple of weeks. Go and check those out. And then I had my first off-season article roundtable with Sports Illustrated. That one dropped, I think, last week. It's either early this week or last week. I forget which one. But yeah,
work at SI.
Yeah, SI Fantasy. It was I think it was wide receivers that benefit from PPR scoring. I think that was the name of the piece. We did that with Michael Beller.
Usually you list them in your Twitter account too, I've noticed.
Oh yeah. You'll see them across my timeline at some point. So we got that. On vacation, this is just a side note, but on vacation, we went down to New Orleans, Christina and I, for our anniversary. While we were down there, we were there the week before the rain hit. Thank goodness for that. Yeah. But while we were down there, I was able to hang out with Sigmund Bloom from Football Guys.
I saw that.
Yeah, we went out for a beer. Him and his 6-year-old. We went out and we hung out for a couple of hours, just talking.
Did the 6-year-old get wasted?
No,
the 6-year-old can be really, really.
No, wonderful kid, and just got a chance to hang out with one of my heroes in fantasy football industry. So we had so much fun. Great guy. So if anybody is ever in the New Orleans area, hit him up. I'm sure he'd want to go out and hang out with you too. So we had a blast. But that's where you can find me on Twitter, Chris Allen FFWX. We're doing all sorts of. Oh, and then last thing, next month, the fantasy football, the Midwest Expo. It's being hosted by Bob Lung, who won it was like the best sports article or something like that by the FSWA, Fantasy Sports Writers Association. He's hosting a fantasy sports expo up in Canton on August 18th. I'll be there along with my co-host from my other show, Dynasty Owners Manual, and then a bunch of other folks like from the industry. So like the guys from RotoViz are going to be there. The folks from Fantrax are going to be there. I think like the fantasy footballers, like they put in like they're giving stuff.
A weekend thing, 1 day thing.
Just 1 day. That's Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Sunday the 18th. It's going to be. They're going to have live podcasts, mock drafts, all sorts of stuff going on.
You have to email me the information and a link, and I'll get it out there. Is it open to the public, or they have to get a ticket ahead of time? That type thing?
I've got a coupon code that folks can use in order to get tickets, in order to get in. So if you're interested, I'll make sure that you get all that information. Sign up under my code to get a little bit of money off, and then it'll be great. Well, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, that sounds neat. All right, yeah, send that out. Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX.
That's me.
Man, you have been busy, man. No wonder you needed those weeks off.
I was even working on vacation. I had articles coming out while I was on vacation, man.
All right. Well, good job.
The grind never stops.
All right. Well, you can get me on Twitter just at a fantasy fan. But if you want to be highly considered to be one of our owners in the AFFI, email me, justafantasyfan@gmail.com. Put AFFI in the subject line. And yes, hashtag AFFI.
Tell them.
Perfect fantasy scoring.
Tell them.
We'll get there. Tell them. Chris, next week we got a lot going on. Football start. I'm getting excited. Been mock drafting a lot. I'm still into baseball though. I mean, I'm really doing well in this high baseball league. I know. I do baseball in the morning, and then about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, my mind switches to mock drafting and football podcast and all that. So it's hard doing both. But thanks for coming on. I hope no one missed us too much, or actually, I hope they missed us a lot. It doesn't really matter. We just weren't here. But we're getting close. We're getting close. Like 80 shows now or something. We're there. We're into it. All right. We'll catch you next week. Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com, Legend Sports Network. Tomorrow morning at 9, Lenny's on vacation. He's out roaming around, but I heard rumors he may be on in the morning at 9. So if you want baseball talk, otherwise it could be Arnie, could be Lou. Cha-Cha now has a show. He's in the chat room normally, but Cha-Cha now does a breakfast with Cha-Cha at 8:30 in the morning, where he goes over some of the leagues that people are in from the chat room, and he goes over their waiver wire drops and pickups. Actually pretty interesting. Cha-Cha cracks me up. So
he's a good dude.
Kevin Show, who's always with us. Kevin's our big host. Kevin does the Aloha show from Hawaii. That is now Mondays and Thursdays. So he'll be on tomorrow at 3. So got to give him a plug out there. And Doug Boyles does the Dugout show on Saturdays at 10. So since he was in the chat room, make sure I throw that out there. So there's where you can find us. Shoot me an email if you're interested in being in the perfect fantasy football league. Chris, say goodnight.
Good night.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.